I wanted to talk to you today about leadership, motivation, and human needs. We wanted to review Abraham Maslow's view of motivation as a complex hierarchy of human needs. Of course, we're all familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the basic needs. But there is a man named Frederick Herzberg who extended his motivation hygiene theory by talking about the two factors of motivation. Herzberg saw motivation of human beings of two distinct types of needs, such as survival and biological needs. He also believed that this was a motivating force for motivating those in the workplace. As he extended his theory, his motivations theory, he relied on needs and growth, which are psychological needs. Rather than looking for needs energized with the individual, he focused on the job environment to identify factors that arouse people in either a positive or a negative way. Like Maslow's needs, Herzberg's motivation hygiene theory seeks to identify factors that cause motivation. He talks about motivating factors that are positive, that cause job satisfaction, and he also talks about motivating factors that are dissatisfactors, such as hygiene factors. And he explains those as being dissatisfaction, avoidance of hygiene factors are extrinsic or external to the job. These include company policies and administration, supervision, interpersonal relationships, working conditions, salary status, and employment security. Herzberg's motivation hygiene theory has several basic assumptions. People at work have two distinct sets of needs. He explains one is work satisfaction and dissatisfaction. Motivators tend to produce satisfaction. Absence of hygiene factors tend to produce dissatisfaction. Work satisfaction and dissatisfaction are not opposites, but are separate and distinct. For example, how can motivation be used positively in work settings? Well, in Chicago Public Schools, which is where I work, this dissatisfaction because of salary caused the employees to go on strike, even though they're some of the highest paid teachers in the nation. Also, the leaders had some difficulty this year because of new policies for special education that were in place. And this caused a dissatisfaction in employees because they have to do certain things that they never had to do with special education students before. So I do understand the dissatisfaction. And then there are the satisfactory things that produce job satisfaction, such as the higher level needs as described in his theory, which deal with work satisfaction. They are absolutely separate and distinct dimensions. Only factors that cause job satisfaction can be motivators, according to Herzberg's theory. So, hygiene factors such as salary, working conditions, supervision, interpersonal relations, policy, administration status, and security can reduce dissatisfaction, but they are neither satisfiers nor motivators. Meeting these needs reduces employees' dissatisfaction, yet leads only to minimal job satisfaction. It does not motivate, according to Herzberg's theory. A few job characteristics actually function in both directions, as Herzberg concluded. The opposite of job satisfaction is not job dissatisfaction, but no job satisfaction. And similarly, the opposite of job dissatisfaction is not job satisfaction, but no job dissatisfaction. According to Herzberg, removing these dissatisfiers may ensure that the employee will perform at minimum levels, but only job satisfiers can motivate individuals and contribute to superior performances. Herzberg suggested that administrators can increase employee motivation by enriching jobs in the organization. He depicts the principal role of enrichment applicable to many roles workers. I know at the Chicago Public School System, they can motivate the teachers by offering them leadership roles. And they usually do this by having them lead a team of teachers to increase student achievement. So one teacher may be given the designation as to coach the other teachers to help them with their instructional delivery in order to ensure that they are doing the best research-based analysis that they can to work and help increase the test scores. However, this year with the coronavirus, things were done a little bit differently. So everyone had to resort to remote learning, which was difficult because the teachers had never done it before. But with a lot of leadership and support from the team and from the leaders who motivated the teachers to use the computer, to use the software, to use the Google Meets, to design the meetings for the kids, was done very well and implemented for a 6-week period, which I thought was well. And that was one way that we developed using the positive job satisfiers in opposed to using the dissatisfiers to promote this positive development with our school. I believe that this needs to be developed further. I believe we can use this Herzberg theory as one way to promote a higher job performance level. It talks about hygiene factors being interpersonal relationships with subordinate peers, and this is motivated by achievement and recognition, which I thought our district did quite well concerning the pandemic. Supervision, technical, we had to utilize the computer person to issue out equipment to the students and also to the teachers and to answer any technical questions that they had. This also required a lot of collaboration as well as having the teachers and the staff work autonomously to get these things done. And this proved to be very challenging. According to Herzberg's motivation hygiene theory, another hygiene factor was the policy and administrations. The district receives lots of initiatives written, and especially with the grading policy, the district was not allowed to not pass any students. And also if they had a grade, like let's say for instance a student had a grade of a B or C, they were to get those same grades, and if they didn't, they had to receive a pass. So I thought the district was very proactive, and that the challenge, the motivating factors of being challenged, and the work itself produced a good scenario for our students who were affected by this coronavirus. Job security and salary, another hygiene factor that Herzberg discussed, was initiated because the teachers and the paraprofessionals were allowed to continue to receive their same rate of salary as while they worked from home in the environment. I think this was kind of a great motivating factor for the teachers to keep working during this initiative. I thought that this was an excellent motivation theory. There's another one that I would like to discuss. There are several, but the next one I'd like to talk about would be the leadership, motivating leadership, motivation and autonomy. And I think that's kind of a picky subject because we had to be motivated to work autonomously while we were at home on our own. So we really had a lot of intrinsic value because the students needed to learn and we had to educate them. So I thought that this was an excellent motivating factor, and the motivation and the need to achieve theory I thought also was a successful accomplishment to achieve a higher standard of excellence. And this varies from culture to culture with the individuals. Not everyone has the need to accomplish challenging tasks. So this motivation to me is really more personal and more, according to the research, more biologically determined. It says as people develop, they learn to associate positive and negative feelings with certain things that happen to and around them. It says that if a child is raised in an environment that stresses competition and receives positive reinforcement for performing well, then the child will perform well. And I'm in agreement with that. I see that often, and as a educator and an administrator who deals with special education, I see this quite often. David McKellen and his theory on the need to achieve assessed that human motivation is comprised of three dominant needs: the need for achievement, the need for power, and the need for affiliation. This is quite subjective based upon the individual person needs. And I think this is something that has to be intrinsically valued, but also the person has to have a strong personal responsibility to want to achieve and to want to do well. And even motivating our teachers in the workplace, I think this is a positive need for achievement that should really be stressed, because our entire goal is for our students to achieve academically. I believe this can be developed over time. I personally like to give rewards not only to students but also to staff for high achievement, for improving their test scores, for diligently providing interventions for staff, for working specifically with those children that need help. And also, when we have new teachers, I have mentored and worked with new teachers who are new to special education to help them understand the dynamics of the classroom, especially classroom management with those behavior disorder students. How would you build motivation at your workplace specifically? I would offer intrinsic rewards and extrinsic rewards for teachers who do well with their students. I would also give lots of positive praise. I would also set up standards and different skill levels sets for the teachers to meet, and I would collaborate with them and talk with them personally on a daily level to make sure that we were getting the results that we needed. And if we needed to revise and make some revisions, we would also work on that. According to McKellen in his research, the staff may set moderately difficult goals and take intermediate level goals. And according to him, this is more of a chance type thing, depends more on skill than on chance. And sometimes it takes high achievers tend to calculate the risk and select situations in which they expect to feel slightly but not too overextended by their challenges. So if you already have a teacher who is high performing, they're going to set some standards that they definitely can achieve, and they will have a strong desire for concrete performance and feedback. So overall, the staff who follows this high need for achievement, I really like working with this type of staff members, because on our job, they do not only do they have high achieving goals, but they set them for their students, and they have high expectations and high standards. Overall, I think that motivation is something that we all can benefit from. There are lots of motivating theories. There's the expectancy theory from Varun, the high needs for achievement, leadership, and expectations, motivation, and autonomy. There are lots of motivating factors that we need to review, and that is why we need further research on this topic. Thank you. Have a great day.